What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Garbear Fitness. Today we're in the gym doing legs. Just started doing my sumo deadlifts, and I wanted to show you guys some four important key exercise workouts to get your hamstrings growing. I know I mentioned in a couple of videos that my hamstrings are my lacking part, but let me sit down. I want to show you guys why, I particularly do these exercises, and kind of go a little into detail and then show you guys from a couple of different angles of them. As mentioned before, my hamstrings slack behind my glutes, even though my glutes still need work, just for lower back issues that I have. But my hamstrings need work regardless. They need more size to catch up to just a full sweep of my entire leg. And they've been growing from these exercises as well. So there's going to be 4 exercises I'm doing, guys. Today, the first thing we're going to be focusing on is sumo deadlifts. I know I mentioned a video, actually posted a video about this a little while ago. It was a very 19-second video. You just read the description. I posted it on my Instagram as well, but I'll go into a little detail. So first thing with sumo deadlift is you want to make sure you're warmed up, which I usually warm up with straight leg deadlifts and conventional, which is standard form. You want to make sure that you're warmed up before doing these, because your stance is obviously going to be wider, as the title states, sumo. Buckle this. Now, once you start working and finding your stance, with regular deadlifting, you can do it with sumo as well. You're kind of moving and banging the weight on momentum. One thing you want to make sure you're doing with sumo deadlifts is you want to make ssure you get the full squat and stretch on this exercise. In particular, because you're working not only the hamstrings, but you're working your hip adductors. Adductors, key way to remember this, guys, adductors, you're adding something together, abductors, bringing them apart. So you're working inside in your hamstrings as well as your glutes. You'll also notice that I'm not banging the weight on momentum, and my focus is getting the full squat and then the full squeeze and drive up. Always remember, guys, on your lifts, you always want a strong start. You don't want a weak start, because it's a good way to injure something that shouldn't be injured. Let's get started on these, guys. I have 3 more to do. One is going to be the compound, the sumo deadlift. The next one's going to be the reverse V squat press. The third one's going to be the upright leg press, which I'm going to kind of explain to you guys. It's like when you're upside down on under the Smith machine. Some gyms actually have a machine for this, but excuse me, I'm going to do the Smith machine, and the final one's going to be single leg hamstring curl. So let's get started. Alright, so as you're gonna see, this is should be about that with the plates. I'm not going very heavy right now. I actually just increased my workout intensity, and I'm kind of learning to build my weight back up again too. But I want to make sure the form is key, because as you guys in bodybuilding, form is key. It's not how much you lift, it's how you lift. Guys, so I just got done my deadlifts. Bear with me on the camera angling, because I'm still kind of figuring it out. I'm actually doing this by myself until I actually get my actual video camera, which I'll talk about when I get it, because it's actually really fucking cool, the one I'm looking at. I'm actually going to talk to you guys about the next workout I'm going to be doing in here, because that outside of that gym area is actually crowded, and I don't want to get a lot of background noise. So next one is the reverse V squat press. It's actually a machine that's plated. You're going to put plates onto it. You want to make sure when you're doing this, as any exercise, when you're loading too much weight, you're not going to be able to get the full range of motion and depth. So I'm going to start on these, and I'm going to actually record them. I'm not going to be training very heavy on these, because I want to make sure I get the full squat on them. Again, on this one, you're going to be pushing the weight back on your heels, just like any squat. Making sure that you're driving with your hamstrings and your glutes, and you're going to be doing a wide stance on these. You can do narrow too, but the closer your legs are together, the more quad dominant the exercise is going to be. So if you're doing those, just make sure that you guys are, just not banging the weight up and down, and make sure at the top you're keeping your core tight and everything, because you don't want the stress sitting on your spine. You don't want your core, wobbling back and forth like this while you're standing up when the weight, when you're fully I shouldn't say contracted, I should say the eccentric phase when you're standing upright. That would be the concentric phase. Anyway, just make sure that your core is tight, guys, and your form is good on this. Remember, wide stance, focus on your hamstrings and glutes. Think about that while you're doing it. Thinking about it is very important. So the third exercise today, guys, we're going to be doing the, as I mentioned, the reverse or the upside down upright leg press. I actually don't even remember what these are called. I think there's an actual name for them, I'm not sure, but a lot of people go by different terms. Anyway, you're going to be laying flat on your back. One thing that you want to make sure you don't do is lift your butt off the floor, because when you're laying flat like this and your legs are going up and they're coming down, when your legs are coming down, your back's going to try and round out. You have to kind of figure out the placement of where your body is based on your height and your range of motion of how far you can almost upside down squat, and figure out what's best for you. You want to keep your lower back on the floor. It's okay if your butt curls a little bit, but realistically your butt and lower back shouldn't be coming off the floor. Same thing as the last exercise, guys. The closer your legs are together, the more quad dominant it is, but we are focusing on the hamstring, so you want to make sure your legs are farther apart. All right, so for the final exercise we're going to be doing today is the single leg hamstring curls, and thank God Gold's Gym Orlando actually has that, because a lot of gyms don't have it, and I think that's a very important machine. The reason I'm choosing this exercise over the standard, seated ones or the laying down ones where you're using both of your legs is due to the fact that whenever you're curling, so a lot of time we all have a dominant side of our body and a weaker side of our body. You'll realize too when you're curling, like on my legs, I know that my left hamstring is weaker than my right. It's also less full too. So I feel that the tendon is trying to work more with the muscle versus the muscle and the right one just itself working. And I know that the supporting muscles in the back of my leg, as well as the joints there and the ligaments and tendons, aren't strong enough either. So single legs are very good to do to focus on the individual muscle versus the two hamstrings. And to make sure your form is right, because a lot of times when you're doing the two-legged hamstring curl, you're going to be loading that weight and slamming it, and that's not the point. You want to focus on that contraction. Hamstrings, I feel, are a very sensitive muscle group, that the contraction is very important. Make sure you're squeezing it as hard as you can and stretching it as far as you can without locking your legs. All right, guys, Garbear Fitness checking out. That is the 4 key exercises I wanted to show you. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, my Instagram's at WatsonAlexander and at Garbear Fitness. Other social medias are in the description box. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Hopefully it helped you guys out. Stay shredded in keynotes, guys. Make sure that you're not locking your knees, your form is right, focusing on those glutes and hamstrings, and you're training your fucking ass off, because that's what counts. And you want to make sure that every workout you're doing counts. Let's get big.